We are graduate students from Clark University. Our video will help to improve your understanding of the PontiusMatrix42 spreadsheet, which was created by Dr. Robert Gilmore Pontius Jr. to accompany his book entitled Metrics That Make a Difference. Our video explains how to use the scenario manager, interprets the targeting labels, and shows how to customize the figures for your number of categories. The first link is Pontius's website. The second link has videos created by Pontius's students. Metrics That Make a Difference is a book published in 2022 that explains how to measure change and error. The PontiusMatrix42 spreadsheet computes metrics from a contingency table in which the row categories match the column categories. The spreadsheet computes the metrics from the book's chapters 1 and 4 through 7. Some of the equations are identical to the popular intensity analysis for one-time interval.
The README sheet explains how to use the spreadsheet and provides references. The input sheet is where users enter their data in the gray cells. All of the numbers on the other sheets are functions of the gray cells and yellow cells on the input sheet. Non-gray cells are locked, so the equations do not become corrupt. If you want to unlock any cells, then read the README sheet. Our first example characterizes change from 1971 to 1985 among 4 categories. The data are in Excel's Scenario Manager. To use the Scenario Manager, select the Data tab at the top, and then select What If Analysis. Select the Scenario Manager from the menu. The Scenario Manager saves a set of values for the gray cells. To create a new scenario for your data, select the plus button. Name the scenario and choose the cells within the sheet you want to save. The Scenario Manager saves data for up to 32 cells. If your data requires more than 32 cells, then use more than one scenario. Choose a scenario and select Show to display a previously created scenario. This is a change matrix from 1971 in the rows to 1985 in the columns, which matches figure 7.2 of metrics that make a difference. The gains of each category are the off-diagonal entries of each category's columns.
These are the 2 reference maps for the corresponding data from 1971 to 1985. The maps show the categories built, barren, forest, and water. Imagine a builder is looking for land in 1971 to convert to built by 1985. The builder prefers to gain from barren because barren is easy to convert to built. The builder prefers to avoid gaining from forest because forest is relatively difficult to convert to built. However, most of the land in 1971 is forest in this example. Thus, as is displayed by the built gain column bar in this figure, built gain from forest is larger than from barren because 1971 has a greater presence of forest than barren. The built gain column bars show how the column category gains from other categories. Meanwhile, built gain from barren is more intensive than from forest because the builder targets barren and avoids forest. The builder targets barren, which the greater than label indicates. The builder avoids forest, which the lack of greater than label indicates. These labels on the entry intensity sheet shows the results for transition level intensity analysis. We just described the figure on the left, which is the figure from the spreadsheet. The figure on the right is the corresponding figure in the book. There is an inconsistency between PontiusMatrix42 and the book concerning the placement of the labels. In the book, the labels are on the row bars, which is a valid way to envision the results. In the spreadsheet, the labels are on the columns, which is a valid and easier way to interpret the labels because each column bar shows the category gains. It is easier to interpret the labels on the column bars, which indicate whether the gain of the column targets or avoids each initial category.
The PontiusMatrix spreadsheet also assesses error, where each row is the diagnosis category and each column is the truth category. In this example, we use Bookstrata 1 from the Scenario Manager, which gives figure 5.1 from metrics that make a difference. The diagonal entries are hits. The off-diagonal entries in each column are misses of the column category. The off-diagonal entries in each row are false alarms of the row category. In truth, category 3 is 8 times larger than categories 1 and 2. The row 1 bar of the entry intensity sheet shows that the diagnosis of category 1 generates false alarms, where the false alarms for the category 3 in green are 8 times larger than the false alarms for category 2 in yellow. However, both segments in the row 1 have a label that specifies equal to indicate equal intensity. When the classifier diagnoses category 1, the false alarm segment is 8 times larger for category 3 than for category 2 because category 3 is 8 times larger than category 2 in truth. When the classifier diagnoses category 1, the false alarm intensity is equal for categories 2 and 3. The spreadsheet shows labels on the segments in each row for the case of error assessment. This placement facilitates interpretation because we envision a classifier diagnosing each row. The book shows labels on the columns, which is also correct, but not as easy to interpret. The spreadsheet has examples for 4 categories, but users might have other than 4 categories, in which cases users must edit the figures to match the user's number of categories. For example, go to the category intensity sheet. Right-click on the figure. Then click Select Data. This shows the data that are connected to the graphic. The data are connected to 4 categories, but we have 3 categories. Select data from cells F1 to I4, comma, F23 to I26 to fix the data range. But now the labels must need a similar adjustment. To adjust the labels, right-click on a label, click Format Data Labels, then select Range, then select cells K2 to K4, comma, K23 to K26. Okay. We hope our video improved your understanding of the PontiusMatrix spreadsheet. The Excel interfaces differ between operating systems, so some of the functions may not be synonymous with the functions displayed in the video. Please ask your librarian to visit the 3rd link to purchase the book via the Springer website. If you have any questions, then please write to Professor Pontius or us at these email addresses.